All right, fellow patriots, welcome back to another Friday Mental Jujitsu. My name is Michael Buell, and I'll be your sensei. Hiya! All right, guys, Happy New Year. Hope everybody's doing great. What a wonderful year 2026 is going to be, right? Okay, so listen up. Hey, what? You want us to pay what after what we've been learning? I say, don't pay shit. That's what I say. Don't pay shit. Hear me out. Let's talk about this. Now, what's the concept? The concept is simple. Both sides of the aisle have pillaged us long enough. They're both pillaging us. It's over. The fix is in. We understand both sides have been pillaging us. But one side, the Democrat side, seems to funnel that money to their people, to their constituents. The conservative side, they seem to funnel that money back to themselves. They're leaving us out here high and dry as far as I can see it. Okay, guys, so the concept, yeah, both sides are pillaging us. So the first time they pillaged us was called the Revenue Act of 1862. But it was cool. It was a temporary act to pay for the Civil War. Abraham Lincoln passed this, and it was just a 4% tax. You know, some people, poor people, paid 2%. Other people with more money paid 6%, but roughly a 4% tax. It was repealed. They took it away in 1872 because the government said the tariffs and the excise taxes, that's taxes on things like alcohol they don't want you to use. It's not good for you, so they tax you a little bit extra. So those types of taxes was enough to run the government. So they repealed the Revenue Act of 1862, 10 years later, after they paid off their interest and whatever for the war. Then they made an attempt to make it permanent. In 1895, the government, of course, got greedy. They really enjoyed that extra money. So they tried to pass it, and the Supreme Court shut that shit down, said it was unconstitutional. So, okay, cool. We win. We get to keep our money. But Congress doesn't like losing. They don't like losing to us peasants. So 40 years later, in 1813 and 1913, 40 years later, somehow the 16th Amendment was passed. The 16th Amendment, somehow, now we all got to pay taxes. Just like that, everybody had to pay taxes. In 1862, when they passed this, again, roughly, it was a 4% tax. The average today, they say, is 24%. But I talked to the wife and kids, and they're all paying in the 30%. We're being pillaged. They are pillaging us. Donald Rumsfeld, remember him? He came on the news September 10th, 2001, one day before 9/11, to inform us that $2.3 trillion has vanished. They don't know where it went. They don't know who they spent it on. They just can't find $2.3 trillion. And then a missile, not an airplane, then a missile was fired through the Pentagon, which happened to be at the Naval Intelligence Building. I don't know. Maybe they were looking into this. You never know anymore. And then, of course, we've been learning about medical fraud. Remember, we talked about that last week. $100 billion in medical fraud every single year. You are being pillaged. We are being pillaged. And then remember how shocking it was when Doge exposed USAID money being spent all over the planet on ridiculous things like transgender bars. Remember how that went in Colombia? Remember that? Things of that nature. We are being pillaged. This enough's enough, people. How much more do we need to see? Okay, we got one more to see. We now know the Somali land pirates. For 30 years, we invited them in to this country. Remember, we had the big beef with them in Somalia with the movie Black Hawk Down, and then suddenly, yeah, they're friendly enough to move into our country. Who makes these decisions? Oh yeah, we learned last week 5 Christian churches make these decisions to stab us in the back. So the Somaliland pirates, it's already up to $10 billion so far, and we haven't even cracked into Ohio. We haven't cracked into the Somali population in Michigan. And what other special groups? You see people from India and they all run these gas station stores. It's like, where did they get the money to do that? Oh, you gave it to them because we can't run those stores. How many of you would love to have a family owned business, a gas station, a family owned business, little restaurant, family owned business, whatever the Muslims and the Indians have been granted, given your tax money to open these businesses, you could be doing that. Have a whole family business to pass on to your kids. This is treason, it's treason, it's treason. Solutions. You know me, I bring solutions, people. Audit everybody, every government agency, state and federal, audit these fools every year and fire those who fail. So here's what I suggest. Before we pay taxes, so taxes we got to start paying between January and April. Before we pay, they need to bust out their books and prove to us that they're balancing their books. If that shit's in the red, then I want to see if the books are in the red, then there must be investigations, prosecutions, and incarcerations. It has to happen. If the books are clean, if it's in the black, then we get we turn it into a holiday, a government holiday. If the books are in the black in your city, your town, our federal government, 3-day weekend. But if these people fail, nobody gets a 3-day weekend. Everybody's got to get back to work. They failed us, so now we're angry with them, and you got to stay angry with them. They cost you a 3-day weekend, so stay angry with them. Have them demand better from them, and if not, fire them. All right, guys, that's where we're at. Don't pay shit. The only way we can win is if we resist and assist. Uh. All right, I'm out. Ooh, who saw that elbow?